Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Noah did this for us.
Did he?
He died for our sins.
Yeah. What did Noah really do?
In this case, he just did it for himself.
Well, no, he did it for God. God told him what to do.
Right. It's a situation between him and God. And any altruism beyond that is bullshit.
Well, and as I like to say, at the end of the day, if you hear God, you're probably the only one hearing God. So if it's God or it's your own head, I prove to me it's one or the other, my friends, because you can't.
No, I need you to build me an ark. Right. Who is this?
And
God.
Fill the house with popcorn.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you can't tell, on this episode of the Kulturecast, I am still your host, Chris Stachiw, much to the chagrin of probably someone. I am joined by my two good friends all the way from Dark Destinations and Midnight Viewing, Father Malone.
Biblical quote.
And all the way from the projection booth, renowned biblical scholar, Mike White.
Renowned atheist, yes. I'm going to go get drunk and naked and maybe have sex with one of my 3 boys. Woo!
Wow. Well, if you don't know what we're talking about, you're about to find out, because on this episode, we're continuing our look at epics with 2014's Darren Aronofsky directed Noah.
Noah. What did he say?
He's going to destroy the world.
My father said that one day, if man continued in his ways, the Creator would annihilate this world.
Can it not be averted?
He speaks to you. You must trust that he speaks in a way that you can understand.
I saw water. Death by water. And I saw new life. A great flood is coming. We build a vessel to survive the storm. We build an ark.
Mama! There's them!
What do you want? You don't know your king. There isn't anything for you here.
I have men at my back, and you stand alone and defy me.
I'm not alone.
It begins.
When they come, they will be desperate, and there will be many.
Take the ark!
I see how hard this was for you.
Remember, Noah, he chose you for a reason.
Is this the end of everything?
Beginning. Beginning of everything.
So, if you can't tell what the film is about by the title, well, what other Noah do you know, I guess is the question. How many Noahs do you know?
I know 2. And they are both in the same family. Very popular name. If I were going to have another kid, I'd probably name him Jacob, Tab, or I can't remember the line from Raising Arizona. But yeah, I actually know 2 Noahs in the wild.
Amazing. Have either of them built an ark?
Not that I'm aware of, but they might have flooded their pants at one point.
Yeah, if you don't know what this movie is about, it is the biblical retelling of Noah's. It's inspired by the story of Noah's Ark, but also the before and after of the Ark. So it's not just build Ark, movie over. There's a lot going on in the movie, and there's a lot to talk about. The film does star Russell Crowe as the titular Noah. Jennifer Connelly, Ray Winstone, Emma Watson, Logan Lerman, and Anthony Hopkins shows up for a moment or two. About 3, actually, I think, technically, we're counting.
Yeah. Odin, right?
Yeah, Odin, right. Yeah, I mean, he has magical powers, whatever that means. Father Malone, I'm going to kick it to you first. What did you think of Noah? A movie I more or less asked you to watch.
Yeah, and a movie I thought I had seen.
Oh, God. Oh, what's worse, realizing you hadn't, or realizing you thought you had?
I don't know. I was convinced I had, and then it started, and there were rock monsters, and it was a
Rock monsters.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
The whole first part of the movie felt like Lord of the Rings and or Marvel flick and or like the original. Remember when Oliver Stone turned in his draft of Conan the Barbarian? He said it like after the fall of man, so it felt like that, like a bit, but like Bakshi's Wizards. The story could have taken place in the post-apocalypse the way it was being told, and I was totally into it. I thought, wow, look, because he had a budget of 120. I love Darren Aronofsky, if I haven't made that clear yet. I adore him as a filmmaker. So, and this one just didn't appeal to me at the time when it came out. That's why I didn't see it. But my God, he got like $125 million budget to make a fucking Noah movie. And he does so by turning it into this weirdo fable kind of thing. And I was so down with this movie right until the flood, and then I did not fucking give a shit 1 minute past that. He tacks on the sort of the Isaac story, the sort of sacrifice of Isaac, onto the tail end of the Noah story in order to like re-emphasize that Noah has been portrayed like as this benevolent savior of humanity all through history, but he's also kind of a genocidal madman in that he lets everybody die and is firm about that. So I think he was trying to get at a show like a more human, like a more immediate version of it, but we had just seen it and it was fucking horrible. So the whole Sturm and Drang and melodrama of the end just killed me, man. Like, I was really into what he was doing, and there's still wonderful moments throughout the entire film, and I like how daring it is, and I like a lot of just his weirdo sort of visual digressions where, you know, he'll just show the passage of time by showing a river wending its way, you know, through the world and the life that's growing around it. I love all of that. Like I said, I think it's a really daring movie, but it's so hideously uneven. And there's no moral. The crazy thing about the moral quandary at the end about him doing God's will and sacrificing this one human after everything that had just happened is that Noah he's absolutely certain that it's God speaking to him.
I'm sorry, who's that? God? I don't remember his name.
Oh, I'm sorry, the creator. The creator.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
He is
Yahweh? Yahweh? He or him?
No, just creator. They never say Yahweh or anything like that. He's so certain, and the audience is as well, that that's the creator speaking to him, and he's following that path. So it should have just been like, is he insane from the beginning? I don't know.
Is it not?
No, because he backloads all of the actual human drama into the end when it should be part of the fucking awesome monsters smashing the fuck out of the descendants of Cain sequences. Anyway,
true.
that's what I thought of the movie.
What about you, Mike? You a fan of Daring Aronofsky?
It's funny. I echo so much. I mean, I probably shouldn't even be here because everything that Father Malone just said, I'm like, yep. 100%. Totally agree. Yes. And yeah, the movie, it's so uneven and so strange. I mean, the way that it starts off, I'm just like, what's happening with this font choice that you're doing here? Like, what is going on with this?
You guys like papyrus?
I mean, it's not papyrus actually, but yes, it is so close to it and has that same color too. I'm just like, yeah, it is. That is not a good thing. Yeah, and the rock monsters, which look a lot like the Transformers to me. So every time they would come around, I'm just like waiting for Optimus Prime to show up. Yeah, and those little flashes of, you know, Cain killing Abel and the snake and the avocado pomegranate, you know, all of those things. I'm just like, all right, yeah, this is interesting. And I know Aronofsky makes me feel like a lot when I watch his movies. Like I almost had a panic attack watching Black Swan. Like I love what he can do with the camera. I love what he did with Pi. Strangely enough, I love what he did with Requiem for a Dream. Strangely enough, I don't watch all of his movies, even though I know he's super talented and is somebody that I find very interesting. So I haven't seen Mother. I did see The Fountain, saw that theatrically, and this reminded me so much of The Fountain. It was not even funny how much it reminded me of that. I still haven't seen The Wrestler even, which I know a lot of people love that, and I still haven't seen The Whale. So I guess I'm with him up to those first 3 movies. I've only seen like half of his filmography, I think. But every time I do, I just enjoy what he's up to. And even in a movie like this, where I'm like, wow, I don't know if I like this or not, but it's appropriate, Russell Crowe. I am entertained. Thank you very much for asking.
So,
how about you, Chris?
So I saw Pi in college. They showed it to us for something. I do not remember why. I just think because. Have not seen Requiem for a Dream for a whole host of reasons. I've never, just more or less never gotten around to it. I'm not put off by the subject material at all, but just never gotten around to it. Black Swan I have seen. The Fountain I have seen. Mother I have not seen. And The Whale I don't know, just didn't sound like something I had really any kind of interest in. And same with this movie initially, but Father Malone, you kind of made the point here that they gave Darren Aronofsky $120 million to make this movie. That was why we're watching this movie. Because, like, why Darren Aronofsky? Like, why Darren Aronofsky making this movie? It's just looking at the other things he had worked on up until this point. The Fountain is the biggest in terms of budget, scope, and scale. And then they have this. And this is, I mean, we're talking about it this month because it's an epic, and it is a fucking proper epic film. I mean, in every sense of the word, it shares a lot in common with the kinds of movies that were being made by filmmakers in the 40s, that were biblical tales being retold. That's what this is. However, there's a reason we don't make these kinds of movies anymore, because the idea of all you could do with them then is not all you could do with them now. And Darren Aronofsky and Ari Handel know that, which is why, to your point, Father Malone, there's a half an hour tacked on where all of a sudden we're having introspective character moments. And it's like, why wasn't this just throughout? Why did you put it all at the end and literally slow your movie to a crawl and it feel like there's another movie tacked on to the end of your movie? This could have been a 2-part movie, frankly. The flood happens and then, Noah Part 2 coming next fall. Like, you could have seen that, because it really feels like 2 distinct movies the moment the flood happens, and there's still an hour left in the goddamn movie. So, yeah, I think I echo, initially what y'all are saying. It's very uneven, but in terms of seeing something unlike pretty much anything else I've really ever seen, boy, it checks a lot of boxes. Just in that first 10 minutes, I thought I was watching the wrong movie when the rock monsters showed up, voiced by Francis Weber's own Nick Nolte.
Yes.
Hey, I'm a rock monster. Okay.
And then Margulis as well in there, too.
Yeah. Ventura. Yeah, boy.
Yeah,
and
great.
Kevin Durand as well. And I think Frank Langella is the voice of the one that initially helps them. But I think for me, the interesting part is, this is a movie where I actually really liked Russell Crowe in it a lot. And I'm not the biggest Russell Crowe fan. I'm not. I don't go out of my way to see things that he's in. But the things I've seen him in recently, I really enjoyed. The Pope's Exorcist, a lot more fun than it had any right to be. A big, dumb Exorcist movie featuring Russell Crowe that I think is fun, and he's fun in it. And I think that this movie has some moments of fun. I think this movie takes itself deathly serious. Obviously, I think that's the Darren Aronofsky of it all. I'm not sure that there's a way to make a fun, high seas Noah adventure, because the story of Noah is not, it's not that it's not a fun story, but at the end of the day, there's a scene in the movie that captures what this is really about, where Noah is sitting there listening to all the people dying outside the boat. That's what this story is about. That is ultimately what the Noah story is about, is deciding that the whole world deserves to die and you're going to save the animals. That is the story at the center of the Noah story, is a man making that decision to doom the world to death. And like you said, Father Malone, is it all in the name of God? I like that Darren Aronofsky doesn't give us the voice of God at any point.
Yeah.
Because it would have been
never
jokey.
Hear her. Right.
Yeah.
You don't ever hear him talking to him. I mean, you get those signs and things. You get like the water droplet that forms into the flower, and you get, the signs that he's seeing in his head, these whole dreams of the bloody earth that he's walking on. I mean, is it more Ezekiel or more Isaiah, but this whole idea of the prophets and stuff. And I think that Noah was considered a prophet, and not in the way that Islam considers prophets, but he's one of their major guys as well. Like Noah, Adam, of course, Moses, they're all like the prophets, and of course Muhammad is the seal of the prophets. He's the end of the prophets. But yeah, he's important in all these religions. And yes, he did a major thing by helping reset the whole world for God, or sorry, the creator. But the story is like this long. And even if you go to the Book of Enoch, it doesn't give you that much more. I mean, it's a short story that he forms into this whole thing. And what's nice is that as an atheist, I'm not tied to any of this stuff. So I'm like, okay, if you tell me that there's little magic things in the ground, sure. I don't care. I'm not tied to this. I don't care if it's apocryphal. Go right ahead. Do whatever rock monsters crawling around. Okay. That's great. I forgot that Seth even existed. I know Cain, I know Abel, but I forgot all about Seth. At least I didn't forget about Dre.
Or the hilariously named Tubal-cain, which...
Well, every time they said Ham, I'm just like, oh, Ham, Shem, come along. It's just like, just calling your kid Ham is just so funny to me.
The thing about the rock monsters, I agree with you, Mike. They initially reminded me of Transformers, and that is most likely because they have so many limbs.
Yeah.
I realize that they have so many limbs because actual seraphim in the Bible have 6 wings. So their wings have become their arms. It's a wonderful design innovation, and along with the fact that we encounter animals that no longer exist on Earth.
Oh, yeah. I kept waiting for the unicorn to show up and for them to be like, yeah, or that's what Ray... Is it Ray Wise that's in this? Because
Ray Winstone.
Okay.
He's the one who betrayed Indiana Jones in the 4th movie multiple times.
Remember that, Tom, Indy? Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, it was...
You don't know him.
Damn, I thought that was closer.
But when Ray Winstone is there chowing down on animals in the Ark as a stowaway, I'm just like, pretty good. Where's it? Oh, I mean, look over and there's like one horn there and a horse head. And just, oh yeah, that's a shame.
Honestly, like for me, Ray Winstone is the highlight of the movie.
Oh.
They're like, hey, Ray, you want to come on set and just chew the scenery? Okay. Yeah, like, all right. Like Ray Winstone for me, I saw him for the first time in The Departed, and I thought that he in a lot of ways is a highlight in that movie, full of other fantastic actors, but he looks proper biblical. Something about his face. Yeah. I mean, everybody looks proper biblical, but Russell Crowe and Ray Winstone look proper biblical in this movie. And Ray Winstone is he's painting with very broad strokes, as it were.
Ray Winstone, this is how old I am. I first encountered him because PBS was rerunning a series from the BBC called Robin of Sherwood.
Oh,
and
wow.
He played Will Scarlet in it. I think it was his first role. He's irretrievably young in it. So I've been watching him the whole time. So I'm always excited when he shows up because he's going to be the best thing in any scene he is in. And certainly here, like I love, Mike, we talk a lot about how in movies, if they would just give us a map once in a while, it would be so helpful. That the opening scene where we get to see the cities of Cain spread across the earth was so fucking fantastic. And I thought, wow, what a great set of villains they're setting up here. Again, feels very Thulsa Doom, very Conan the Barbarian. So I'm waiting. Basically, the movie is setting itself up to be this biblical epic with a climax of this giant fight. And I don't have any problem with continuing the story afterwards. The story continues afterwards, but the moral dilemma, it should be over at that point.
Right.
If anything, why the movie is so frustrating to me is that the most important scene, the most affecting scene, the scene where everyone is screaming and drowning outside, is the actual thrust of the story to me. Like, how do they go on? Every day you're going to be hearing those voices, right? Every day.
Theoretically.
Everyone you ever knew, or, like that to me is enough. And if there's any filmmaker who could dramatize that for us, I think it would be Aronofsky. But instead, he just sort of takes us into yet a different Bible tale at the end. It's really, I almost said insulting. It's not insulting. And because I know I'm coming down hard on this movie because I want the movie to be better. And because ultimately I'm going to recommend people watch this movie. It's worth fucking seeing for all of this crazy shit that he's...
It's a fucking insane movie. Like, I haven't seen a movie made like this in a long time. This movie came out 10 years ago. Sure, Sure it did. Like this doesn't feel like the kind of thing that should have come out 10 years ago because, and again, with the name Aronofsky attached with like this, there are parts of this movie that feel like it could have been directed by Roland Emmerich.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of what it is, in terms of what you would expect from this story, you have the story of Noah and the world flooding. And that's a fucking Roland Emmerich thing right there. Moonfall, all those kinds of, again, these big human disaster stories. And yet, I don't know, Darren Aronofsky, it feels like the parts of the movie that he should have excelled at, he doesn't. But the parts of the movie that anybody could have excelled at, he did. But it's like anybody can, in 2014, I'm not saying anybody can make a convincing CGI boat with a bunch of people inside and all that, but with $120 million budget and Paramount Pictures behind it, yeah, I think you can. It's odd to me. This is, for all the things it doesn't feel like, there are parts of this movie that feel very antithetical to what I would have expected from a Darren Aronofsky movie. But yet there are parts that I would not pick anybody else but him to have done certain parts of it. It's just, they're so disparate. It's like, why try to pair? It's like oil and water. No matter how hard you mix, you can get it to emulsify, but it'll eventually come back apart because they just can't stand to be together.
I mean, yeah, what you're saying about this feeling like a Roland Emmerich film, it reminds me a lot of 2012 with that arc, or the underground arc in Deep Impact, which was not Roland Emmerich, I don't believe. I think that was Mimi Leder. But yeah, in what you said earlier, Father Malone, just this whole thing of feeling so post-apocalyptic. It feels like Eli from Book of Eli is just going to be walking through one of these scenes at some point. It would fit with this world, you know? And it's so... I mean, I like what they're doing with this world. I like that I keep having to remind myself, oh, this is, you know, is it antediluvian as after the flood or before the flood?
It's before the flood.
Okay, so it's all antediluvian stuff where it's like
Donovan says in the song.
Yeah, just the whole thing. Yeah. Hail Atlantis. That whole thing of, like that dingo dongo thing that's there that they are killing, but then Noah doesn't eat meat apparently because he's just burning that thing at the end. I guess he's making an offering of it to the creator. And I forget about these things, like how they just keep making all these offerings and things. I'm like, oh, what were they? Oh, okay. All right. I'm getting it. But yeah, I would like to have seen that regrowth, I guess, at the end, rather than just what they do. It feels like a big wet fart at the end of this movie, which is not good. And when you built this up so much into that, like you said, this month is all about epics. You build it into this epic, and then it just peters out. All right, we're not going to kill the baby. All right, here we are. I'm like, all right, what happened? Did you have a really good first and second act, and then you just forgot to write the third act? It was just not good. Though I will, again, and I feel like a broken record on here, I will again agree with Father Malone. I would recommend this movie. I would say, people, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Say it's good and say it's bad. It's interesting.
You haven't seen anything else like it. That's for sure. For all the Roland Emmerich comparisons, his movies don't have this level of kind of awareness, because there is an awareness that this movie has about what it is trying to do. Whether or not it's eminently successful at that, I think, is another conversation, but it knows that this is not, BC. It is a biblical story. So there are kind of not kid gloves, but kind of kid gloves being used to ferry the story along, because there are some things that this is just not going to do because it is based off of Bible stories.
And the challenge that they had for themselves of things like, what do these clothes look like? When they first started walking around, I was just like, thinking of BC. It's like, should they be dressed like cavemen? What would they be wearing? And then it's like, well, how many years have passed? I mean, and that's a bad question to ask a Christian who's really into the Bible. Like, how many years have passed? Oh, only 1,000. It's like, wait, no, isn't Methuselah like 1,000 years old? But anyway.
And Noah himself is 600.
Oh, yeah. And then apparently once the flood happens, everybody loses that whole long life cycle. I don't know why. But anyway, yeah, it just, I don't remember where I was going with this, but it just, yeah. So I'll stop talking.
That shit was so pre-flood, baby. All that living for thousands of years.
Oh, that's what it was.
Living after the deluge.
Yeah, it was the whole thing with the outfits, the clothes that they're wearing, and how they had to come up with this whole thing. Like, what types of houses do they live in? What types of shelters? And I think it was brilliant to set this whole thing, to shoot this whole thing, let's say, in Iceland, where this is it. This is what Iceland looks like. They modified a lot of it, of course, in the far distance and when you get the cities and all those kind of things. But this whole idea of this rough hewn plain where you get like the green mountain coming up and everything, that you can tell that it's more like moss rather than actual grass, because it hasn't even happened yet. The grass grows on some of these surfaces. It is so smart because this is such a rough hewn world. It fits with this pre-flood time.
Well, and what's interesting is you both have already alluded to it. They don't tell you when it's set.
Nope.
There's a shot where you see what look like skyscrapers in the distance. And I think you already alluded to it, Father Malone. I kind of don't see when this is set as a point of even contention. It's set whenever, right? And I think that ultimately is what Aronofsky is trying to get across, which is this story is a timeless story, and be careful for the flood, right? Because, I mean, again, Christians believe that there will, maybe not a flood, but the second or third, who's counting, destruction will come and happen, and that will happen to all of us. I mean, again, for the Christian belief system.
Well, God promised not to do it by flood again, so.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
We're shit out of luck if we built all those boats again.
Yeah, that was a bad move. Which they did in the Roland Emmerich 2012 movie. See, they were not listening to God. Roland Emmerich is godless.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There's a little thing that I just want to share because it's so stupid. But every time I think about the word Methuselah, first off, I think of Robert Heinlein with Methuselah's Children. But I used to work at a cable company, right? And we would air all those local commercials that you see. Sometimes we would make the commercials. Other times we were sent the commercials. And we were sent one for, I believe it was Bill Shure, Hsure, Bill Shure Oldsmobile. And they had a whole thing up. They had a whole jingle that they had where it was like, something happened and that it didn't because it wasn't for sure. And they had this, and I'm like, wait, what? This happened, but then it didn't because it wasn't for sure. So they had a line in there where it was like, Methuselah lived to 1,000 years, and then he didn't because it wasn't for sure. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
So every time that's what I think of. I should go out on YouTube and see if that commercial's out there. I doubt it, though.
Methuselah was just looking for some berries.
Oh, yeah. My God, that guy likes his berries.
He's just upset. Like,
Man, you give me some berries, I'll give you the power to create life here, Hermione.
yeah.
Oof. That's Hermione. She's terrible.
Can I ask a question, though? Is there really been a time where she hasn't been?
The bling ring. She's great in the bling ring.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Because I haven't really seen her in anything I really like her in. Emma Watson. I think she always kind of has one setting, it would seem, and this is part of that singular setting.
Yeah, she's trying real hard.
Yeah.
And bless her, she seems very nice. And I liked her as Hermione, and I liked her in the Bling Ring very, very much. But she is horribly miscast here, and she is outclassed here. As much effort as she's putting in, she can't get close to just a look from Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, Jennifer Connelly is, she's so good in this movie. I mean, Jennifer Connelly's great in everything.
Yeah, just fantastic. You can read everything in her face. She requires no dialogue at all.
No, and she is aging like fine wine, my friend.
I mean, she got her acting start in Once Upon a Time in America, which we just talked about, Mike. We were talking about on the Sopranos show that we do. And yeah, I can't think of a thing I've seen her in that it is not better for her being in it. I think that's almost everything that I've seen her in is better for her being in it. Because yeah, her and Russell Crowe are great in this movie, really. They have great chemistry. Again, I don't think it's really put to good use because Russell Crowe's character I don't understand what his character arc is ultimately. Once they're on the boat, he becomes this unrepentant asshole. And fine. I mean, I get that the story kind of necessitates it, but it never pays off. He just doesn't kill the kids at the end, and then he just goes and becomes a drunk, which I understand is part of the Noah story. Noah's a known drinker of wine, so that's fine, but it kind of doesn't have a point that he's all of a sudden just like, well, I built this boat for my family, and I care about my family, and I've done all these things to make sure my family's safe, but now I want to make sure everybody's dead. It's like, Noah, what?
It's about doing the creator's will.
Right.
But that's the thing. Shouldn't everyone be on board? Like, the creator so far hasn't steered them wrong. He built them a fucking boat. Everybody else died. Now he's telling Noah that the child has to die.
Yeah,
also, if they were really that concerned about it, they outnumbered him. There was plenty of time. They could have put him on that boat and set it adrift. That little Moonraker mini boat that they had for some reason built to go along with their regular boat.
That he then blew up.
Blew up, and you know what? He came in and did that, and at that point I was so bored. I was just like, oh, how about just burn the whole ship? Just burn the whole ship down. But that twist ending.
Yeah, he was dreaming about being in the flood and everything himself, and see. I mean, God, that was so much the marshes scene from Lord of the Rings, from the Two Towers, with all the dead bodies under the water. And I'm just like, oh, we hates it,
Well, and so that's the thing. You kind of already, you mentioned it, Father Malone, the idea of there's a part of the movie where it just starts kind of to become boring.
Mm-hmm.
That is the shame of this movie, is the first half is so entertaining and strange and its own thing, unlike a lot of things that I've seen. And then the second half of the movie, most of the time is spent inside of the Ark, which is as uninteresting as it sounds. There's nothing exciting about the setting of the Ark. It is literally a giant log box that they are in with a bunch of CGI animals. And that's all it is for 45 minutes. And then they go outside a couple times. But they don't do anything with the story after they're on the Ark, and setting any of it, spending an extended amount of time on the Ark feels antithetical to this being an epic, because epics aren't stories about 6 people sitting in a fucking box for 45 minutes. And that's what this movie ends up becoming. Like, why not just pad out the beginning of the movie and have it end with them on the boat? Oh, because you can't have the scene of Russell Crowe sitting there listening to all the people drown. That's what it is. You can't get to those moments that Darren Aronofsky clearly wanted to get to. Then maybe don't tell the Noah story, or I don't know, tell it after they've gotten on the boat and it being like a crisis of faith, but don't pick neither, do both, and not succeed at either because you didn't really choose between one or the other. It's like you picked both and kind of failed at both and succeeded at nothing. Other than being weird, other than it being a weird-ass movie.
I tell you what, if the movie ended with the people screaming, if you just cut to black there, and as an audience, we just listen to the screaming and screaming and screaming, and then it says the end, I'm fucking 100% on that movie.
Yeah, oh, totally. I'm with you. Like that for me was a genuinely arresting moment in the movie that I thought to myself, like, this is the thing that they don't talk about in the source text, is this thing here. Because they don't let it go on for long enough. This wouldn't just be fucking 5 minutes of this. This wouldn't just be 2 seconds of people screaming. This would be people screaming for hours, days, probably.
Can you imagine? They would probably all be hanging onto the Ark as much as they possibly could, probably trying to crawl up it and stuff. You'd probably have to be out there with poles pushing these people down. No, seriously.
No, you're on pole duty. You're on pole duty, Shem.
It would be awful. Yeah,
right?
I mean, I never really got a size of the Ark in my mind because it's behind those barriers so much of the time. I'm just like, well, how big is it? I'm not going to go into the whole, the physics of how many
cubits, Mike? How many cubits?
All these animals and stuff. I don't care. It's a metaphor. Okay, I get it. We don't have to think about the fish, and we don't have to think about birds, and we don't have to think about insects.
The snakes, Mike, the snakes.
Oh, why did it have to be snakes?
Anything
one
that
thing,
slithers.
Yeah,
or crawls on the ground.
I love those. I love all those Bible story books where you get the 2 lions going up the Ark, and they're both male lions.
I mean, it's just not as good of a visual if they both don't have manes.
That's true.
They'll figure out which hole to stick it in eventually.
Yeah, it's not Adam and Steve.
Oh, God. Wow. Yikes.
Yeah.
I do like how they had to explain how the animals don't attack one another. There's just a magic powder that they put in the air and makes all the animals go to sleep.
Yeah.
Hey, look, that's totally fine. We're in Magic Land with...
I agree.
Yeah. All of that. See, the thing is, you can't really front load the the human part of the story into the beginning if you're going to have rock monsters.
Right.
The thing is, once the rock monsters are on Noah's side, there's no question that they're doing the right thing. There's no question that Noah is sane and following the Creator's directive. And that's what it needs to be, right? They should be questioning it even after the fucking flood. Are we doing the right thing here? Was it even God talking to you? That question is never broached.
Which feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels
Of
like
all
there should be a
people, too.
time. Yeah, there should be a time at this point, because there's a time where a fucking forest grows and you're like, okay,
Literally
well,
out of nowhere.
obviously he is talking with God if this forest is growing and doing all these things. Okay, but yeah, maybe there's that moment way back early in the story where Jennifer Connelly's like, what? You heard from who? What are you talking about? But it was nice that there's no burning bush, that you don't hear the voice, that it is more through the visions. And I can only assume that he might see more than we actually see. Or he just is really good at interpreting those visions.
Or maybe he's just touched in the head. I mean, again, I in this day and age, someone tells you they're talking to God, you all know what we say to that person.
Yeah,
Bless
since
your
we've
heart.
diagnosed schizophrenia, there's been a lot less prophets in the world.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And that's where I wanted this movie to go. I wanted this movie to go more in that direction because it's a Darren Aronofsky movie. If not, really, the thing I was most surprised by is if not Aronofsky, then who is going to have this conversation in this kind of movie? Because he feels like the one person uniquely suited to, because he doesn't stray. I mean, for as biblical as this movie is, Mother is a just as biblical movie in terms of what it's talking about, if not more so. But right, like everything. Right.
So is The Fountain. What I love about Darren Aronofsky is he seems like a hard scientist who is absolutely obsessed with the mysticism of religion.
Yes.
And
100%.
the connections to be found there. Like I knew all about the Fibonacci sequence and the sort of golden ratio before. I had never connected it to Judaism the way Aronofsky did. And he does it so it's seemingly effortlessly. And that's what I love and about him. Like when this movie came out, I wasn't interested in seeing it because we were getting a glut of end of the world movies. And I thought, I don't want to see an Aronofsky take on a literal Bible story. Like I like his more esoteric takes on mysticism and spirituality and religion head on. I think, again, like this movie is ultimately frustrating because he takes the story on, gives us a biblical epic, which we haven't had a good one since, the 50s or the 60s, and turns the whole thing on its head, but then just kind of falters. I know I'm just saying the same thing over and over again, but it's incredibly frustrating when someone can get this close to making something that can make a person potentially reevaluate their relationship with God or religion or mysticism. And I think because I was feeling that way for the first half of the movie, or up until the flood. The only other film that I had ever experienced that with that was sort of overtly religious is Last Temptation of Christ, because it was people taking the material seriously and offering another take that hasn't been regurgitated to us 700,000 times, which is what we usually get in these tales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it's relying on a lot of tropes, like fantasy tropes, and I think you, Chris, have talked about LOTR a few times. There's a lot of things that remind me of that. But yeah, he's telling a story. He's telling a story that we're all familiar with in a very different way.
And I don't know. I know that there's a place for this kind of story being told this way in the world. It's just of all the people to do it. Because like you just alluded to, Father Malone, with Last Temptation of Christ, watching that movie, it feels like a Scorsese movie. It does. It has some of his marks all over it. And it's the kind of movie that I'm not surprised he got involved, because he has always worked with people or worked on things that are about people's, religious involvement or feelings on religion. I mean, him and Paul Schrader, they've worked together several times. And I mean, again, a lot of the stuff that Paul Schrader writes about is feelings on religion and organized religion. And then you come to this and it's, I'm just going to tell the story the way it's been told, aside from a couple things that you may not have seen.
Right.
what about this story was motivating you to tell it is ultimately the question that I have. Because if you're not asking the questions of who was Noah, why was Noah doing what he was doing, which I think is the question that if anyone is approaching this story in this day and age should be asking, like you said, Father Malone, why? What is Noah's ultimate need and want and reasoning to do this? And how does that affect the people in the world around him? How does that affect the world? And how does he affect the world? They're not really asking any of that here. And when they do ask it, it's so surface level that I'm like, well, don't even bother. Just give me a big budget, end of the world biblical movie, because it kind of has a hard time towing the line and being successful at the introspectiveness when the other stuff is just kind of entertaining and weird. That's the thing. Like, all the other stuff is fucking weird and entertaining, and this is what happens when you give Darren Aronofsky a big budget. He kind of just does weird things with it. There's a scene in the movie when they're on the boat, and Russell Crowe just goes, let me break it down for you. I'm going to just read the book of Genesis, essentially. And he puts out the light on the boat. And then there's this great scene, I think you've already mentioned it, Father Malone, where it shows the river, and then it shows the fish, and then it shows the fish turning into the creature on the land, and then the creature on the land turns into the mammal. It's like, man, this is a really well done scene. How much did this cost? Were we just looking for a way to spend money? Because why are you putting this into your movie?
Oh, no, I disagree with that. Yes, please put that in the movie.
Well, like, I like it, but you're putting that into the movie in the space of actually having an interesting conversation about the character is what I'm saying. Like, I like it, but like somebody else could have done this, Darren. You're not uniquely suited to this any more than anybody else is.
Here's the thing. Nobody was going to put an evolutionary sequence in the middle of a Bible film. Only Darren Aronofsky was going to do that.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's funny, the way you talk about this, I'm just like, well, this is kind of like Terrence Malick, but good. You know, when you're talking about like the evolutionary sequence, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's when they like cut to that fucking dinosaur in Tree of Life or whatever that was. I'm just like, I hated that movie, but he always entertains me, or at least keeps my interest, you know, or starts to keep my interest. I definitely agree that this movie peters out as it goes along. I don't know if I got bored until like just the very end of it, but yeah, it takes a lot. And then I was thinking too, with this whole antediluvian time period, is this where those maniacs that like run the, you know, Christian history museums, like, is that where they get the whole like man riding dinosaurs and all that kind of horse shit?
Yeah, it must be, because it's prehistory. It's all up for grabs, you know?
Wow. Pre the flood, baby. There were dinosaurs, woolly mammoths. That's how Darren Aronofsky really should have gotten it, is show Russell Crowe riding on the back of a T-Rex, killing like Ray Winstone.
He's like petting the side of it. He's like, sorry, big boy, there's no room for you on the boat.
Yeah. I mean, I would have enjoyed that. Just a little dinosaur humor in your Noah movie.
Mm-hmm. It would have been up there with my unicorn joke, I think.
Yeah, really.
I still think I would like Conan the Barbarian to have had a cameo.
That would have been nice. Yeah, you're so right. As far as
your floods,
all of these worlds, or this world that they have, feels very, what is it, Samara, and like all those different lands that Conan inhabits. Very Robert E. Howard here.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Earth, that's for sure. And good. In a lot of ways, I'm kind of surprised that Aronofsky didn't just take the budget and do the retelling of the Ark on Mars or something. Something a little less on the nose. Because that's, I mean, again, I can't reinforce enough for me, the reason I never watched this movie is because I don't have any sort of resonance with the Bible. Like these kinds of stories. So it's like, far be it for me to watch a fucking Noah's Ark story. But I mean, if everybody was doing it like this, okay, I'm a little bit more on board, because it's just kind of weird, but I want it to be weirder. Give me something not set on, because again, we've kind of alluded to it. It's Earth, maybe. Who the fuck knows? These people could be on God knows what. I mean, we see Earth, so we know it's Earth. They pull a George Miller and they pull out so we can see the Earth covered in hurricanes. But it didn't have to be Earth, and you could have probably gotten around some of the problems of telling the story by not setting it in the times of the Bible and just talking about the choice being made to sacrifice an entire planet's worth of people because you think you're the only ones worth saving. Boy, that's some hubris right there, ain't it, folks?
Could have been.
Yeah. even little things like when all those birds show up, I'm just like, oh, this is like when they're hiding on Weathertop. So sorry. I was in.
You want Frodo and Sam to show up and be like, can we take your ark to Mordor, please?
I mean, basically, this is almost Middle Earth, too. I mean, for all we know, there could be Mordor in this place.
Right. I kind of want to see Darren Aronofsky make a fun movie.
Yeah, like give him a Robert E. Howard character. Go down, create a world for us, please. I definitely want to see that.
Well, his name was attached so many times to so many projects, especially after like when, I mean, Pi was a huge splash. And then when he did Requiem for a Dream, it was just, people couldn't get over themselves about it, which I completely understand. I'm not saying anything against the man, but he had so many titles. He was going to do a remake of Lone Wolf and Cub. He was going to make an American version of that. He was going to do, and it might have turned out to be Road to Perdition in his hands. You don't know. And then he even was tagged to RoboCop, a remake of RoboCop. Can you imagine an Aronofsky RoboCop compared to that piece of shit that we ended up getting a few years ago?
Can you imagine?
And he was also attached to, and his script is out there and online if you want to check it out, for Batman Year One.
That was an amazing script. Yes, highly
Can we
recommended.
live in that universe where Aronofsky's movie is the one that sets the tone for all the Batman movies or superhero movies that came for a decade after? Nope. We had to have Chris Nolan instead, which in a world of Aronofsky and Chris Nolan, I know which one I would take because I know which one isn't as pretentious, or the pretension is deserved, is probably a better way of putting it. Because I think for as much as Darren Aronofsky may be seen as a pretentious filmmaker, I think for the most part he earns his highbrow auteur status, for me.
Oh, yeah. No, I named the pretentious one. I named the pretentious one with fucking Terrence Malick. But yes, I'm right there with you. I fucking Tenet, man. Oh my Christ. Holy, still can't get it.
Movies are back.
It's not too late to get that Batman Year One. If James...
It's very Matt Reeves, it would fit in with that world.
Yeah, James Gunn is, he said that they're doing an Elseworlds over there at DC, so they sort of one-off films. Like, they've already got a one-off Joker, they've got Matt Reeves' Batman, they're going to have the Brave and the Bold Batman as the sort of their flagship Batman. Like, I could have a Batman Year One, Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah. I mean, he was connected to what? RoboCop, like you've already mentioned, Batman, Wolverine. He was supposed to direct the second Wolverine movie.
That would have been interesting. I mean, that
Superman too, I think, at one point.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Fucked up.
So he's not above doing a superhero movie, and we now know he can do a gigantic epic. Somebody throw a fucking superhero at him already.
Yeah.
Give him a weird one.
He could have made the Eternals good.
Yeah.
Well, and the actual crazy thing is, because again, we're kind of talking about Aronofsky. Aronofsky is one of those directors that has a page on Wikipedia of unrealized projects, just like Del Toro does, just like a lot of filmmakers, because a lot of them make a splash with one or two movies in the late to mid 90s, and then everybody just tries to get their ear for the next 20 years is what it feels like. Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, though, the movies that Aronofsky has made instead, Black Swan's pretty good.
You think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's pretty good. I mean, is it as good as what his Batman movie could have been? I don't know. We don't live in that universe, but that's in that same time of what he would have been working on instead of Batman. So
I almost wish he would do one of those one for them, one for me type of things, where it's like, okay, I'm going to make this genre film in order to get funding for Mother. I'm going to do this in order to get funding for The Wrestler. But that he actually can get Mother and The Wrestler or Noah and all of these other movies made is really a testament to his skill to be able to get that fundraising going and actually get these things out there, because these are kind of off the wall movies, but once people actually see them and get into them, all right, yeah, I'm sold.
Right now here in Las Vegas, we've just opened up the Sphere. If you go to the Sphere in a non-concert way, there is a film that plays in the entirety of that dome. That film was directed by Darren Aronofsky.
Wow.
Of course it was. Go figure, right?
And, it's the history of Earth and, on a grand scale.
I'll tell you what else Aronofsky was tied to, and I can't believe I forgot this. He was supposed to do a version of Theodore Roszak's Flicker, which is one of my most favorite books in the entire world. And if anybody within the sound of my voice wants a book recommendation, which I don't do very often, check that out, because it's this amazing story of film obsession as well as subliminal images. And there's this whole thing about this director named Max Castle and how he's been putting all of these images inside of his films. And I was just like, if anybody could pull it off, it would have been Aronofsky. That's another thing where I know, Chris, we were just talking about in the Sopranos podcast about miniseries versus movies types of things. That one should have been like one solid season of this whole mystery that builds up, because a 2-hour movie just wouldn't do it justice. But Aronofsky behind the helm, he could have handled it.
According to Wikipedia, the source of all knowledge in the known universe, the script for Flicker was reviewed by Mike White of Cashiers to Cinemark, who said that, and I quote, Rozak's name is misspelled on the cover page. I like how, Mike, you're quoted on the Wikipedia page for the movie.
Very funny.
Or the book,
didn't know that. Yeah. And I wish I could find that script. Somebody gave me that Jim Ull script. And one, it was terrible, but two, I can't find it anymore because I actually had some guy who's just harassing me. Like, can I get a copy? I'm like, this is the way I felt before I had a copy. So I understand where you're coming from, but I can't fucking find it. So sorry.
I know that Aronofsky's last film, The Whale, obviously a lot smaller in scope and scale than Noah. No big boats, big man, but no big boats. Did either of y'all see The Whale?
No, it just looked like it was going to make me cry, and I just didn't want to sit down for it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I saw The Wrestler, and I thought, this looks like The Wrestler for the morbidly obese. I'm going to go back and watch The Wrestler again.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, primarily for the reasons y'all alluded to, which is like, this sounds like not a great time. Not like it's going to be a bad movie, but I don't necessarily want to subject myself to a movie that's going to be a real bummer, man. Yeah, and I don't, looking back on Aronofsky's movies, are any of his movies really super uplifting? I think it's kind of half and half, right? I think like The Fountain, pretty uplifting movie. I think at the end of this movie, I think, it has a pretty uplifting it can have message.
I think I has an uplifting ending. I know the character loses his mind, but that felt really earned.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Requiem for a Dream, I can't speak to, but I mean, I can't see Aronofsky, I guess, making another movie like this anytime soon, but that's a shame because, again, he seems to really not go into the world of big budget stuff very often. Maybe he'll do it again. One could hope, but I would like to see more things like this from him and less things that are these smaller character. I mean, this is a character study at the end of the day. I mean, the title of the film is Noah, but I think the character study kind of gets lost in the epic grandiosity of it all. And I kind of would like to see Aronofsky just make a movie that doesn't necessarily lean on all of the character study stuff. Just because, I mean, Batman Year One would have been something different. I don't know what it would have been like that he's done, if it would have been like anything he's done, really.
Chris, when we discussed Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, we suggested that a sequel is in order with Darren Aronofsky, with Don Johnson still around, Mickey Rourke still around. I'd like to see what he does with those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would be so down for that. Holy cow.
Talk about a character study of a movie.
And do whatever you want. If you wanted to make it a romp, make it a romp. You want to make it a character study, a deep dive into the psyches of these fucking lunatics, do that too. Whatever you want to do. Something like that would be fucking phenomenal from him.
I'm just sitting over here losing my mind because at 2 hours, 2 minutes, I don't know if it's Ham or Sheb or Shem or any of these guys, he's walking along this beach. And I can see the background. I'm like, God, it looks familiar. And then they do a reverse shot. And I'm like, oh, I was just there a few months ago. So I'm having a little bit of a surreal moment here.
You were in Iceland, right?
I was in Iceland. I was right where this guy's walking. It was fucking cold, man.
But did you drink wine with Noah?
No, I did not. I would have liked to have gotten naked with Noah.
Naked with Noah on the beach?
Yeah.
Just chilling,
fucking face planted right down. And yeah, hey, Joppa, hide your eyes. Don't want to look at Dad being all drunk and naked.
Or used to it by now.
Yeah.
That snake skin, though, huh? It's all about the snake skin.
Yeah, and I like how they go back to that montage that you were talking about, the evolutionary montage that turns into all the way up to Eden, and then you see the those golden beings, and I like how he's representing Adam and Eve as these golden, almost angelic figures. And then when they touch the snake skin, the spark happens. I'm like, oh, that's really nice. And then that whole montage of, because it's not just one montage, it's like acts within it, where it's all of the people killing each other. And you just see the bodies falling over and over again. And just that staggered thing. Those are the moments in this movie where I'm just like, this is why I would have bought a ticket, but I didn't.
Or how about like the tree of life and the tree of knowledge are sort of entwined, basically making a DNA strand?
Yes.
Darren Aronofsky. I know I'm bagging on this movie just because it comes so close to genius, but like it's worth seeing, and all of these little details accumulate. They make me want to watch this movie that I did not like again.
I wanted to mention something that's pretty gnarly that happens in this movie, and we haven't mentioned it. There's a moment where Logan Lerman's Ham goes into, I guess, a city and finds a girl that is crouched in this pit of dead bodies, and he's like, hey, storm is coming. Where we go one, we go all. And so he's like, hey, come with me back to the boat. She gets one of the worst death scenes I can think of in quite a while. She gets fucked. So Noah sees his son. The girl's foot gets caught in a trap for an animal. And so instead of saving her, which would have, I guess, probably caused both of them to die, Noah says, look, we're leaving her. Let's go. And she gets fucking trampled to death, which I think is one of the worst ways to go, because getting trampled by a bunch of antediluvian psychopaths with their fucking leather sandals on, pretty fucking gnarly way to go.
It would suck at a Cheap Trick concert as well.
Yes, it definitely would.
Yeah, or a Travis Scott concert for that matter. Yeah, I wasn't expecting some of the things that happened in this movie to happen in a Darren Aronofsky movie. That death scene was one of them. I was like, wow, okay, sure. Because we do get a fight scene later in the movie that kind of just happens, and it literally just kind of happens. And then everybody just kind of forgets that it happened and is like, we're good now. No worries, we're fine. You didn't try to get me killed or anything.
Now, back to the infanticide.
It's basically the Bible. You go from one verse to another and just like, oh, how far have we passed now? What's happening?
Yeah. Well, I will say that the other thing I really appreciated was a very, very bearded Finn Wittrock at the beginning of the movie. He's not in enough stuff, that Finn Wittrock.
Yeah, great. I love that guy.
Yeah, me too. He was in a bunch of American Horror Story stuff, but he's, I don't know, got a great look to him. He's from your neck of the woods, kid. He's from up in Massachusetts.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I was very happy to see Celeborn in here as well. And I'm like, he's so familiar looking. What do I know him from? And I'm like, Lord of the Rings. That's the only thing I really think I know him from.
Marton Zokas, the New Zealand actor, along with Russell Crowe.
And I immediately thought, did they shoot this in Australia? Because I'm just so used to being in everything coming out of Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got those two guys, then you got Methuselah being British, and I'm trying to think of and then Emma Thompson, of course, being British.
And Shem is British as well.
Yeah, I think Jennifer Connelly might be the only American in this movie, because they've got, the king of Brits with Ray Winstone and just his thick accent, which I love.
Logan Lerman, I think, is the only other American in the movie.
He might be Canadian.
Yeah, we all know that God is American, so let's not pretend, shall we?
Right. How dare you? Well, we have Nick Nolte doing voices in this movie. So.
Oh, that's true.
Well,
we do. I have spoken.
Rock monster in any kind of movie.
I'll smash it. Yeah, give me your cane children, I'll smash them too.
Yeah. Let me get in the booth. I really want to smoke a couple cigarettes, and I'll do it.
Do you think Nick Nolte looked into what rock monsters were like in real life to better prepare for the role, like he did for the zookeeper? Not the zookeeper. What was it where he plays a bear?
In cement. Yeah.
What the fuck was it where he was like, he learned how to play a bear? Oh, yeah. Some movie where he's like, I wanted to understand how bears verbalize, so I went and researched bears to better verbalize like a bear. It's like, Nick Nolte, you are a gem, sir.
Oh, yes, he is.
But yeah, the rock monster is a perfect vehicle for the voice of Nick Nolte. God. Anything else we want to talk about with Noah, a movie about the Ark?
I like the shape of the Ark.
Yeah,
just turn it into a boat. It's just a chest. That's all it should have been. Just something watertight to keep you safe.
Exactly. Yeah, that was nice that it was just a big old tube, basically. It looked like a cracker box. But all right, cool.
I guess the one thing I'm surprised that nobody mentioned is what would that thing smell like?
Oof.
Oh boy.
like a fucking zoo on wheels, baby.
And they got a furnace in there, so it's like hot, stale air.
Oh,
Hot, stale, stinky animal fart
Stank.
air.
ugh.
I'd be living on that boat, the little getaway boat.
Yeah, why wouldn't you sleep on the outside of the boat? Like, why wouldn't you sleep on top of the boat? Why would you sleep
It's
for all the...
raining for 40
It was
days.
going like
so-
this. That boat was going crazy. It was like the perfect storm type of thing going on here.
Yeah, but at one point it wasn't storming anymore and they were still in the boat, is what I'm
That's
saying.
true. That's true.
They
yeah.
were like, we don't want to go outside where it doesn't smell like giraffe asshole. So, I mean,
At least I
again,
didn't have to feed them all.
well, it's
you
because they
know.
were all asleep with magic powder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those
Yeah.
magic rocks were pretty great, where it's just like,
Those
all right,
magic rocks.
boom, and whatever you wanted it to do, basically.
Yeah, you stab an angel in the heart with it. You could shoot an angel in the heart with it. You
Oh
could
yeah.
make light. Yeah, I mean,
Hey, he went back to heaven. Did you notice that?
yeah.
that was
Well, that's why
nice.
all the rock monsters were like, well, we'll just die then.
Yeah, stoked. We get to go back to heaven.
Yeah,
Fuck
they-
it.
what do they care? They're like, we care not for the worries of man later, nerds. We're out of here. God.
It was nice to see too that they did the credits in such an interesting way. Yes, I still object to the font and the color and everything, but just that it's not scrolling credits and that it was just all laid out like basically like an old school type of thing, but with 3 times as many names on the screen as they used to do. But I thought that was a nice little epic-y touch.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it checks the boxes for the epic. I just don't think it checks the boxes for an epic made by Darren Aronofsky, at least for me, at least for what I was kind of... the esoterica, there was esoterica, but not enough of it. Not enough for me to be like, this is a Darren Aronofsky thing through and through. So,
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe he'll do a movie about Muhammad.
There was already one called, what was it called? The Message. And
Yeah, with Anthony Quinn, right?
yes, and I want to say it's all shot POV because you can't show Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's like Muhammad's cousin.
Okay.
It's
You can't show him, which
no,
is
he
great.
does not appear in the film.
In the role of Muhammad, we will have his understudy. No one. God. Father Malone, final thoughts on Darren Aronofsky's Noah.
During the flood, the ark is floating away, and there's this outcropping of land that's sort of a peak where people are clinging to, and the waves keep smashing against that rock and just smashing these people to pieces. And that image is going to haunt me for some time. But overall, I thought the movie was kind of a drag in the third act. But overall, you should probably check it out.
What about you, Mike White?
Yeah, ditto. Like I said, everything Father Malone is saying tonight is spot on, and I completely agree. So yeah, same message.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I watched it last night at 2 a.m. and finished it at 4. I was hoping to only watch an hour of it, and I was kind of taken by the insanity that I sat and watched the whole thing all the way through. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, especially a movie about something that clearly I am in a similar company with the three of us in terms of believing whether or not this shit actually happened and whether or not it's just a allegorical tale. However, I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I wish there was more of the Aronofsky flourishes, but there are more than there would have been if someone else had done it. They're just, it's like anything else. It's like you said, Father Malone, 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way to something really special, but kind of falls short, which is unfortunate, but falls short in a way that some movies never even get to that point anyways, in terms of quality and the level at which they operate. So, and look, Anthony Hopkins getting destroyed by waves after eating a strawberry, pretty visual. You won't get to see in anything else. So I promise you that. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it, and I'm kind of in the same boat as y'all, no pun intended. So on that note, we'll take a break and play a preview for the next Kulturecast.
From Weirding Way Media, Cambridge and Wishawn is a podcast about two guys' obsessions, passions, and hobbies. Those two guys are
Mark Bigley, host of Wake Up Heavy, Recollections of Horror.
And Ronald Zerigian, host of the Skelevator YouTube channel.
Each month we talk about the toys, comics, movies, books, TV shows, and other cultural phenomena that captured our imaginations and helped shape who we are today.
From Masters of the Universe to Saturday Night Live, Star Wars to Harry Houdini, The Muppets to The Elephant Man, Ronnie and Mark dive deep into the recesses of their minds to pull out treasured memories of things lost but never forgotten.
Join us on the first Tuesday of each month over at weirdingwaymedia.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Join me, Jamie Benning, on the Filmumentaries podcast, particularly if you enjoy stories like designer Nilo Rodis Jamiro convincing George Lucas to push him around to help gain the support of his crew on the ailing Howard the Duck.
Blam! The door opens, it's George. Everybody gasps. George makes a beeline to me. I'm literally back against the wall.
Or hear puppeteer Tim Rose's emotional story behind that iconic Admiral Akbar shot in Return of the Jedi.
I believe that war is something to be proud of, but not to celebrate.
Or how Star Wars editor Paul Hirsch tackled cutting so many successful films.
The thing that I learned from working with De Palma is that tension depends on a clock. You need to have the sense that time is running out.
Maybe Oscar-winning sound designer Mark Mangini's insightful chat about his work on Blade Runner 2049.
Not a single sound from the original Blade Runner in the new film. A great deal of inspiration.
That's the Filmumentaries podcast with me, Jamie Benning.
Hello, Twisted Humans. Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting? Then this is the podcast for you. In 1952, there was a record high of UFOs reported. 1,500 sightings. There has been evidence of human sacrifice, devil worship, and it is haunted by more spirits than can be counted. A family of 2 adults and 2 kids reportedly saw a giant flying thing with glowing red eyes. And meanwhile, the family's nanny that helped Veronica to care for her and Lucian's children was found bludgeoned to death in the basement of their family home. I'm Alicia. And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked.
Kedua,
England.
So right in the next Culturecast, we're going to be talking about Apocalypto. Speaking of movies made by cool people, some of the coolest people I've heard made Apocalypto, and I'll be joined by Disconnected's Ryan Verrill and Texas Tech University's Professor of Media and Comms, Dr. David Perlmutter. So until then, where can people find you and the things that you work on, Father Malone?
Go over to Weirding Way Media. You can hear my show, Midnight Viewing. That's our show, actually. We're all on Midnight Viewing. And Dark Destinations, a radio drama I write and produce. And Night Mr. Walters. I'm just a co-host on that one. That's a taxi podcast that HP does.
What about you, Mike White?
Same thing, different shows, but yeah, all over at weirdingwaymedia.com where you can hear all the stuff that we talk about, like The Life and Times of Captain Barney Miller, The Shabby Detective, yet another Columbo podcast, and a show that I've been doing for a couple of years called The Projection Booth. So stop on by weirdingwaymedia.com for all that and more. How about you, Chris?
Same. Weirding Way Media is where you can find everything but Rankin on Bond, which can be found at your and my respective Patreons, patreon.com/culturecast or /projection booth. And yeah, that's a show where we talk about James Bond once a month with our friend Richard Haddam. Father Malone joined us recently to talk Live and Let Die. That episode will be out soon, next month after, something like that. So yeah, we're chugging along with James Bond just at the beginning of Roger Moore's tenure. So if that's a thing you're into, you know where to find it. Like, rate, and review this show on iTunes, regardless of where you get it. Most people find it on iTunes, and it would help us out if you leave us a review there on iTunes. Yeah, Father Malone, Mike White, thank you both so much for joining me this month. We sat down and watched a movie that none of us had seen, which is a big one. And then, one that I don't think any of us would have seen otherwise even. So, checking some boxes here. And, you could do worse than Russell Crowe just being angry for 2 hours. So, yeah. And as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.